All right, this is day 6 of Unit 6. Today we're going to talk about statistics sampling. This is going to be really short and sweet. You just need to know what types of sampling there are and different types of like surveys and observations and experiments and all that good stuff. So a simple random sample is a set of objects in a population where all the possible samples are equally likely to happen. So like for example, when you put 100 number bingo balls in a bowl, this is a population N, and then you select 10 balls from the bowl without looking. The note is that it's important not to look or else you could bias the sample. So simple random sampling is literally just absolutely as random as possible, putting numbers in a hat and picking them out randomly. Or the lottery. The lottery is an example of a simple random sample because it's just like it takes all those balls and it throws them out and then shows out what answers there are. Okay, so that's the app, like the most random you can possibly do. And then a systematic random sample is the probability sampling method where the elements are chosen from a target population by selecting a random starting point and then selecting other members after a fixed sampling interval. And the sampling interval is calculated by dividing the entire population by the desired sample size. So like basically what systematic random sample is basically I'm going to take 50 people and I'm going to select every fourth person from those 50 people, or I'm going to select every fifth person. So that's where the systematic part of it comes in, because you're going to take that whole group of people, but you're going to take every fifth person. Or like in this example, we have every third person. So that was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's what their next person, 1, 2, 3. That was their next person. That was their sample of people that they're then going to ask questions about. Okay, so systematic is when you pick every so amount of person, or every so amount of receipts, or every so amount of whatever you want to pick to sample. All right, stratified random sampling is kind of confusing at first, but basically it's used when your population is divided into strata, aka characteristics like male or female or educational level. You want to include the stratum when taking your sample. The stratum may already be defined like census data, and you might make the stratum yourself to fit the purposes of your research. Stratified random sampling is very similar to random sampling. However, these samples are more difficult to create, and you must have a detailed information about the categories your population falls into. So like for example, stratified random sample means that they need to have a certain criteria about them in order for you to ask them questions. So like for example, they need to be a teacher, or they need to be a freshman in high school, or they need to be a pet owner or something like that. They have a specific bit of information that you need to know, because like for example, say I want to know what kind of dog food people give their dogs. I'm not going to sample that from people that don't even have a dog. So that's why you have stratified random sampling, because you pick people that own a dog and then ask them that question. So that's what is super important with stratified random sampling. They pick a specific topic about someone, and then after they have found those people that have that specific topic, they randomly choose people from that topic. So that's like saying I'm going to take all of the teachers at Eastern Guilford, okay, and then I'm going to pick every fifth teacher on the list. So that means that you have, not only are you picking a specific topic, but then you're picking a certain way to randomly choose them to be able to pick it. You're not sampling every teacher at Eastern Guilford. You're taking each teacher at Eastern Guilford and then randomly selecting among that group of people. Or for example, you could take everybody that works at Taco Bell, and then you pick 2 people randomly from each Taco Bell location. That is a stratified random sample, because you pick specific characteristics and then you randomly choose people from that characteristic. Okay? And then there's cluster random sampling. And cluster and stratify can get very confusing, but there's one specific detail about clustering versus stratifying. So cluster random sampling is used in statistics when natural groups are present in a population. The whole population is subdivided into clusters or groups, and random samples are then collected from each group. So it's close to stratified, where they pick specific data or specific topic about someone. So like, for example, they could say, we want to survey people that own Air Jordans. Okay, we want to specifically find those people. So that's their topic. And then they ask all the people from that group. Okay, there's the difference between cluster and stratified, because with stratified, we pick a topic, but then we randomly choose people from that topic, versus with cluster, you pick that topic and then you ask everybody that's within that topic. So like, for example, I could sit there and ask everybody that is a Ford owner, and then I could ask them about what kind of gas that they use or how much gas that they use regularly. So that means you're asking all of those people that same question, not just certain people from that. Versus stratified would be like, I want to pick those people and then I want to pick every third person to ask that question for. So there's a difference between cluster and stratified, okay? Then there's convenience sampling. And a convenience sample is also called accidental sampling or grab sampling. It's where you include people who are easy to reach. For example, you could survey people from your workplace, your school, the club you belong to, the local mall. Convenience sampling is literally like when you're at the mall and you see those people trying to offer you like coupons or papers, and like that's an example of a convenience sample, because they're standing there, people are coming to them and they ask the question. So convenience sampling is literally just, I'm standing right in one spot and everybody that's coming to me is what's doing this sample. So it's convenient for me because I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go anywhere. Everybody's coming to me. And then a volunteer sample is a response sample that is a sample made up of volunteers. Compared to a random sample, these types of samples are always biased. For example, people who call into a radio show poll may have strong opinions about a topic in either direction. So like volunteer sampling is like when I literally just let anybody who wants to respond. So like I can post this online and say, hey, I want to know what you think about school going into 4 days instead of 5. And people that are more interested in that, so for example, people with kids or kids themselves or anything like, or teachers, would be the ones that are more likely to respond to that because it's voluntary and it affects them, versus somebody who is a single person that with no kids. They don't care about that. They don't care if the kids get 5 days or 4 days because it doesn't affect them anyway. So volunteer samples can be biased because they don't have, it's going to create more people that have an interest in that topic to volunteer. So, but a volunteer sample is where anybody and everybody can put pretty much their 2 cents in onto whatever they want. Okay, so those are different types of sampling, okay? So I'm gonna just draw a line there, okay? Then we're gonna talk about different types of getting data from people as far as like being able to, there's different types of sampling with survey, observational studies, and experiments, okay? A survey is when you want to know how people feel, what their preferences are, and what they own, how much they make, different things like that in a parameter of interest. So surveys, you get surveys all the time. You get, like, if, say, for example, you shop online, they ask you a survey at the end to say how your shopping went or what you bought or whatever. Okay, that's a survey because you have the voluntary option to either answer or not answer. You don't have to do it. An observational study is where researchers observe the behavior of the participants without trying to influence it in any way so they can learn about the parameter of interest. Okay, so an observational study is literally somebody observing what you do. They are doing nothing to affect how you live your life. So like I could sit there and observe all of you guys and observe how quickly you do your online homework. That's an observational study. I am not telling you to do your homework quickly or anything like that. I'm just watching and seeing how quickly you guys do it. And like most of you guys, you wait till the last second. Experiment is where researchers manipulate the variables to try to determine the cause and effect. A lot of experiments you'll hear about coming from like medicine, where people use what's called a sugar pill or a placebo. Basically, they'll take people and they'll split them up into two groups, and they'll give one group the actual medicine and one group the placebo medicine, and see who actually gets better versus who doesn't. Like, in the placebo people, some people, it's just a state of mind of thinking, okay, I'm getting this medicine, so I'm going to get better. And so they want to know the difference between people that actually get better from the medicine versus that people just get better because of their mental state. Okay, so an experiment is where they actually manipulate what you're doing or how you do things to determine whether or not something helps or doesn't help, or to get that information. So there's a difference between observational study and experiment, where observational study is literally nothing is changing to the people that they are studying. They don't do anything to change their lives. They just watch. Versus an experiment, they control what those people are doing in order to get that information. Okay, and so that's all that you need to know as far as what types of studies there are. So for your classwork on here, so you'll have 1, 2, 3 pages of different examples. And on the next page, you have a stratified random sample, systematic, simple, volunteer, convenience, and cluster, and then experiment, observational study, and survey. What you're going to do is take these 3 pages of examples and you're going to match them up with these. Now, real quick, because there's this difference. These first 2 pages, A through K, all right, the first 2 go with the first 2 pages of your classwork. So the first 2, A through K, go with stratified, systematic, and simple, volunteer, convenience, and cluster. So these 2 pages and these 2 pages match up together somewhere. There should be no more than 2 in each column, okay? So all you have to do is say stratified is A and C, or A and E, or whatever, okay? And then, and only one of them will have only 1 answer. So all of these will have 2, and then one of them will have 1 answer on them. And then the very last page, A through E, that matches with experiment, observational study, and survey. And again, you'll just tell me A, B, C, D, or E in each column, and each one has 2, except for only one of them has 1 answer, okay? So that's all you're doing, is you're just matching up the scenario with which one it falls under. So is it an experiment, an observational study, or a survey? So just to reiterate what I just said, A through K goes with stratified, systematic, and simple, and volunteer, convenience, and cluster. So these 2 pages match up with these 2 pages. And then the last page goes with the last page. So A through E matches up with experiment, observational study, and survey. Okay? So that's all you have to do. If you have any questions, or you want me to, or if you want my opinion or anything like that, just let me know and I will gladly answer. You can message me on Remind or comment on the classwork on the Google Classroom or anything like that. All right? So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.